This is the February 7th, 2024 special business meeting of the Ashland Parks and Recreation Commission. Welcome. I'm calling the meeting to order. First order of business is approval of minutes for the APRC study session, January 3rd, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
We'll keep this one simple. Raise your hand if you approve. Unanimous approval. There are no additions or deletions to the agenda, and I am not aware of any requests to speak in public forum. And to further move things along.
Excuse me.
Commissioner Lund.
I just got a text that, from a citizen saying that the streaming wasn't working properly, and they were begging us to contact Rogue Valley TV. I don't know if there's anything we can do, but.
Thank you, Commissioner Lund. We will do that right now. In addition to this moving quickly to number 5 on our agenda, we also have nothing on the consent agenda. So we're going to move right along to the director's report. The interim director, Leslie Eldridge, will give that.
Thank you. I'm going to kill some time here in the hopes that the broadcast is working. Good evening, commissioners and the public. This is the APRC Interim Director's Report. I'll start with administration and then work through the various divisions. Our Deputy Director, Rachel Dials, has been working very hard along with several key staff members to participate in a brand new citywide website that will be rolling out hopefully around mid to late May. That has taken months of work of determining which particular sites for APRC will be migrated over, working with Civic Plus, the consultants, as well as all of the various departments within the city to ensure that this goes as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. There'll be a time when both of the old website and the new website are up as city staff across the entire city are trained and start to get that new system functioning. So we can all look forward to a beautiful, amazing, efficient new website come spring. On hiring, we continue to roll along with bringing new energy and folks into the team. We are currently interviewing for a second full-time custodial position. That is a position that primarily will be working on facilities upkeep. This is to cover night and weekend shifts, as well as to help reduce vandalism and to care for bathrooms and other facilities in our parks. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, possibly the day before, we had the position of administrative analyst as well as a senior administrative analyst position posted. So we posted 2 positions with the hope that we find someone and pay them at the commensurate level. So we wanted to make sure that we could attract folks with a lot of experience and skill and knowledge to bring to the team, particularly when we're looking at budgeting and financial forecasts. And so we have received quite a few applications. I'm not sure how many, but we'll be reviewing those in the coming weeks and looking forward to bringing a new staff member in. Yes.
Ask a clarifying question. So you posted, this is for one position.
Correct.
But you posted 2 different levels to have a wider range of people that might fit the position.
Exactly. There was a discussion back and forth with HR as how best to do this, and we ended up posting 2 separate positions that are similar, but one has many more years and a more extensive skill set, as well as higher education requirements. And so we'll look at what we have and make a decision. And this way, we have the option of hiring someone at a more entry level, or if we have that experienced candidate, we can pay them the salary that they they deserve.
And I think, and just one more little interruption, I forgot to mention to the folks watching that we have Rick Lant here on our first hybrid meeting. I won't disclose his location, but he's on a television screen right in front of us. We're the only ones that can see him, but we do have our full commission here tonight, and we hope to be able to do this as necessary in the future. Kudos to staff who are working literally up to the last minute to get this to happen, and it went very smoothly. Now, I promise I won't stop you again.
No problem. The wonders of technology, yes. As I'm sure the commissioners are getting tired of hearing, the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map, along with the technical support documents and findings, continue to work their way through the various city elected bodies, and we are finally on our way to City Council on February 20th. So, Community Development Director Brandon Goldman, thank you, and I will be presenting that on February 20th for first reading to City Council. Okay, in senior services, we had a wonderful 19th century guitar music concert at the Senior Center. At the end of January, Matt Doris of the Guitar Society of Southern Oregon performed for an audience of over 40 people, and we're excited that on about a quarterly basis, we'll be able to host more concerts from the Guitar Society of Southern Oregon. And then our wonderful interim senior services director was interviewed by Jackson County Library to discuss the JCLS Tech Basics classes that are offered through the Senior Center. These are designed to assist seniors in acquiring the needed digital skills for their daily lives, to pay bills, to sign up for rec classes, to get those apps, and to share, information and text to the family. Interim Senior Services Superintendent was also appointed to the RVTD by the RVT Board of Directors to the Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund Advisory Committee, and there Natalie Metler will be advocating for the transportation needs of Ashland seniors. So thank you, Interim Senior Services Superintendent Natalie Metler. Yes, previous Senior Services Super Eileen Glatt also served on this body and was very effective, and so we are going to carry on that important role. Our team at Recreation, and particularly Manager Lonnie Flora, has been working so hard to bring adaptive and special needs programming to our parks and to our facilities. The Ashland Rotary Centennial Ice Rink just had an adapted skating clinic and family fun night. And then Manager Flora worked with Southern Oregon University Outdoor Adventure Program, who hosted an all-inclusive Deaf and American Sign Language skate session at the rink. So we're very proud of the efforts that Manager Flora has been doing in this regard. Terrible picture, but very cool example of partnerships between our local community groups and park staff. So I'll start with the bottom bullet here, where park staff partnered with Ashland Youth Baseball and Ashland High School baseball teams to create a team room at the batting cage in North Mountain Park. So they all worked together, and I think it was the high school baseball team that paid for it. They installed AstroTurf and padding to cover the concrete floor, put in gymnasium padding on the walls, mounted wall attachments, painted the walls, and then actually removed an interior wall to extend that space. So they gave it a complete sort of facelift for the teams to use to train and to have a gathering space. And that was a really positive and successful partnership between our staff and the teams. And then our Deputy Director, Dials, held the annual field users meeting. This is where all the various leagues and teams that are looking to use Ashland Parks and Recreation fields in North Mountain Park, Hunter, and Briscoe, go through access to the fields, maintenance, and our maintenance crew is at this meeting as well, policies and procedures. And it's important to always kind of make it known that the demand for the fields far exceeds our capacity. It is always a juggling act for Deputy Director Dials to please everyone and to make sure that everyone's requests are fulfilled to the greatest ability, and working on that need. Along with that, we have continued struggle with a lack of fields and lack of field availability through Ashland School District. So that's something that we'd like to continue partnering with ASD to get more access to their fields. Okay, very exciting project that has been ongoing, but I thought it was high time for another update. If you recall, there were 2 irrigation items within the CIP budget for this biennium. And last year, park staff completed installing WeatherTrack smart irrigation throughout all of Lithia Park, Ashland Japanese Garden, and North Mountain Park. And this year we are well into phase 2 of installing the WeatherTrack system in, get ready for it, Kaya Guanajuato, Clay Street Park, Garfield Park, Triangle Park, Glenwood Park, and Railroad Park. The CIP budget allocation for this project was $100,000. The actual, the projected expense is less than that. There's $88,000 with a $15,000 contingency within there. So we're still within our budget at this time. Great news, as always. And then just looking into the future in FY25, we'll be looking at installing the WeatherTrack system in Hunter, Sherwood, Garden Way, Scenic, Dog Park, Ashland Creek Park, Briscoe Park, and Kestrel Park. So all of these improvements are in the name of water efficiency and water conservation, as well as what is best for the vegetation and the natural resource that we have in all of these parks. So being able to control when, where, how, and why water is applied to our parks is probably one of the most important things that we can be doing right now for the environment and for our community. And last, but definitely not least, one of our many wonderful APRC volunteers, Carol Carlson, was given the James M. Ragland Volunteer Spirit, spelt wrong, Community Service Award, was given by the mayor to Carol Carlson at the town hall a couple weeks ago. And Carol Carlson co-founded the first community garden in the Rogue Valley over 20 years ago at what is now the Ashland Creek Community Garden. She's a certified master gardener, and she teaches classes and as well as staffs the master gardener booth at the Growers Market. She's served on the Ashland Conservation Commission, established and maintained the Community Gardens greenhouse, and distributed truckloads of organic compost to other gardeners. The Ashland Creek Community Garden now distributes extra produce to community members through the Ashland Food Bank and works with elementary school students from Hellman. So congratulations to Carol Carlson. That concludes my director's report.
Thank you. It was very informative. I just want to comment on Carol. Before I was appointed to the commission, I was her co-manager at the Ashland Creek Park Community Garden, and it was great working with her, and I still see her over there all the time. She's truly a master gardener and community conscious gardener, tries to build the community part of the community garden. So I hope she's watching, and hi, Carol. Okay. Thank you again for that very informative report. We're now on to item 7 and 7A. Our first item is Ashland Parks Foundation Butler Perazzi Fountain Restoration Project update, request for action on the RFP. And I believe Mike Gardner, who's the president of the Ashland Parks Foundation and a former commissioner on this group and chaired this group, is up to speak. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Bachman, and welcome commissioners and staff. I just have two goals tonight to relate to you. One is I wanted to give you a brief update on the Butler Parazzi Fountain Restoration Project, the fundraising campaign, and attached in your packet was the most recent campaign goal sheet that we had, which shows us at $626,566 of our $800,000 goal for the project. Back on July 4th, 2023, when we kicked this off, we had grand ideas of completing the campaign by December 31st, 2023, and that didn't quite happen, but the steering committee has been diligently working over this past 7 months, and we're kind of in phase 2 of the fundraising. As you can easily do the math, we have about $175,000 left to go in the fundraising for this project. And the other thing that I passed out to you was just a black and white pie chart that I'm sorry I didn't have an overhead of it, but just to kind of remind the commission and staff of, $800,000 is a round number. It's an estimate on what a project's going to cost, but I just wanted to briefly go back over how we came up with that number and what it includes. And if you just briefly look at the pie chart, you'll see that the $200,000 of that 800 is for the actual fountain restoration. The rest of it is tied up in terrace and stair restoration for $275,000. The electrical system is in the plan is scheduled to be totally redone, as well as the water system within the fountain terrace system, so to speak. And then finally, the maintenance fund that we programmed into this budget is $200,000. So in essence, we've raised the money to start the project, although we haven't completed the goal. Our goal is to complete all the fundraising and be able to provide that to APRC when the project moves forward. My second goal tonight is to ask the commission and staff to consider that timeline on getting this project on the books and ready to go. I don't know the exact needs of moving the project forward, but it's going to entail probably an RFP for planning and construction. And I would just like to encourage the commission to consider getting this project on your look ahead and into the planning process for parks, because we will have the full funding probably by the middle of this year. And as I said, technically we have the funds available to do the project. What we don't have right now is the last $175,000, which completes the maintenance fund, which we are definitely going to raise, and we're definitely going to have it as part of this project. But I just, like I said, wanted to make a plea tonight to both staff and the commission to see if you can get this on your look ahead. If it's on the radar for moving forward, the funds are in a restricted fund for the Butler Parazzi Fountain restoration within the park foundation's coffers, and we just really like to see the project maybe cranked up a couple notches on the look ahead so that we can get the project going.
Okay, I have some questions, but before I ask them, I'm going to look for other commissioners and see if they would like to ask a question. I see we'll start with Commissioner Long.
Rick, hold on. Rick, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
There you go.
Thank you for the pie chart. That was really helpful. One thing I didn't see there, and I'm just wondering if it's incorporated into the other items or where it comes from, is the design costs. So my question is, where are the design costs coming from?
I would suggest that the design cost is probably within each portion of that, of the pie chart, the estimates. So in other words, the fountain has, is that your question, is to?
Yes.
So I would say that a portion of the planning and design would come out of each one of those sections that have been allocated to the various components of the project.
So just to
Thank you.
follow up on that, so that the design costs, which would probably be the first RFP,
Yeah.
are contained within this $800,000
Right.
budget. Okay.
Just to refresh everyone's memory, so over a year ago, the Ashland Parks Foundation commissioned an evaluation of the fountain. We had a report done, an extensive report, a 40-page report of the condition of the fountain, evaluating each one of these parts, components of the fountain, and by a company by the name of Architectural Resource Group, and that's where the cost estimates came from, as well as from their from their work that they did for the commission or for the Parks Foundation.
Commissioner Seffinger.
Thank you. One of my concerns is that I believe, because we've been raising money for this fountain for a while now, I think it's important to get it on the books, because people would like to see, when they've put so much effort into raising money for this, to have it completed. So I would really be for trying to get it on the books. Thank you.
I think it might also help us getting to the finish line on the fundraising. You know, if we have a, you know, concrete process in place beyond the fundraising.
Do you think there's any need for phases with this, or do you think it can all be completed in one project?
I think it can all be done. Like I said, we've already raised over $600,000 for the project. The estimate, which is now about 18 months old from Architectural Resource Group, was the total cost of the rebuild or the restoration was going to be just a little over $500,000. So I believe we have the funds available now to not need to phase the project in, other than just what the normal build out would be, you know, on it. After the design work's done, what I would envision is the fountain gets shut down and the work begins, and it doesn't need to be phased in. It just needs to be done in whatever order that it would normally be built.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Lott. First, you guys. Commissioner Adams.
I guess my question is to staff. I would anticipate that all of my colleagues here are in alignment with you, Mr. Gardner and Commissioner Seffinger, that we're excited about this project.
Yeah.
For staff, what would be a reasonable time frame to get this on our look ahead, to start thinking about the practical steps to spend this money that our wonderful friends at the foundation have raised for this important project?
Oh, thank you for that question, Commissioner Adams. A couple points. First, As you all know, we're at limited capacity and working with new staff. So I'd say that we're realistically right now at a minimum of 6-month waiting backload of items and projects and RFPs. So I'm going to look over at Park Superintendent Caldwell. 6 to 9 months is realistically where we're at. So we're more than happy to put that in the queue, but I want to be really realistic about with the hiring and some of the foundational work that we're doing. We're working as fast and as furiously as getting as much out of the door as we possibly can, along with working with finance and HR and all these other departments that are also trying to build capacity and have new folks. So I want to be really upfront about that. We are so excited about this project as well. And of course, I'm so grateful to Ashland Parks Foundation for all the work they've been doing to raise the money for this important project. On the subject of phasing, I'm glad you asked that question as well. We may want to consider phasing just to be absolutely sure that the project stays under budget and to be cautious so that we can continually watch how expenses are going. Is something that I've been considering just as we move into this phase. We want to be extra accountable to staying within budget.
Thank you. Any follow-ups for staff? And Commissioner Lant, you had more you wanted to ask?
Yes, I'm not sure if it's a question for staff or for the foundation via Mike Gardner, but who is envisioned being the project manager for this project? Is that part of the funds that are being that have been obtained, or is it the assumption that APRC will be the project manager?
I'd say it's probably for staff, but I would personally, I'd anticipate that APRC would be the project manager on a project such as this, but I don't know.
I think that's what staff has been thinking as well, but there are other options if it's something that we want to discuss.
A couple, I'm sorry.
Could I follow up on that?
Please.
So I just want to point out that other projects that weren't this large, in the past, we've hired a project manager for. And given, it just seems like that might be at least should be entertained as a way of moving the project forward. Also getting, I know we now have a park superintendent who is very capable of project managing, but of course the problem is that a big project like this takes that person away from the rest of their duties. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. That's an idea I was going to approach too. It sounds like we could have money in the budget to actually do that, and that's just something we should look at pretty hard so we could have this going parallel to anything else we're doing. If Superintendent Caldwell's project expertise on this is mostly overseeing another project manager, that might not burden him too much, but we'll hear from staff on the best way to proceed. But that might be a way to accelerate the project, which would be good for everybody. Also, we have found for about 3,000 years that the longer we put these things off, the more they cost. So the sooner we get going and get it done, the better. And Mr. Gardner, about once we start, what would be your estimate for how long it would take to do the whole project?
I think the original estimate was that it would be completed within a year. Of course, if there's phasing, it kind of depends on what approach you take. And also, I'm not a contractor, so I don't, I'm not sure if there's a season, that this has to fit into. I would assume that there's certain parts of the project that would have to be done in a certain season. So I think those variables come into play. But from reading the report and what our thought has been is that it's a 1-year project. Hopefully that it would be 1 year or less.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Lewis.
Yeah, and this is an action item, so I'm hopeful that we would make a motion to direct staff to generate a request for performance. And I just like to say I've been on this steering committee, and there's a lot of people working really hard, and a lot of community members have seen the importance of this fountain, and it has a long history, and there's a lot of stuff on our plate, and I understand that we have to add one more, and I would hope that Kevin could show up to one of our meetings and we could talk about the next step we take if we do request staff to move this forward.
Do you have a motion?
I do. I move to direct staff to generate a request for performance for the restoration of the Butler Parazzi Fountain.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Would you like to say more to your motion?
A lot of lead time to get even somebody started on this, and so if this will get us moving towards the goal of having it restored, and I'm 75 years old next month, so I just really am hopeful that I can see a restored fountain and the maintenance fund is really the part we didn't do last cycle, and that's really one of the more important things, and I have faith we will have the complete $800,000 collected in the near future. So it's just kind of getting the momentum moving is really, I think, important.
Councilor Sevinger?
I would agree that getting the momentum going is very important.
And Commissioner Adams, anything? Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Steffinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bachman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Lott,
Yes.
motion passes.
So just in closing, I anticipated the questions that you have, and I'm glad that we're able to kind of move this a little closer to the front, and hopefully staff can work with answer those questions along with the Park Foundation in the months to come, realizing that there's a significant lead time and a lot of load on staff as it is. But thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for your time and your presentation and for everything that the foundation does for us. And item B, for item B of item 7, resolution of support for extending and connecting the Central Bike Path. This is also action, and thank you, Commissioner Lewis, for reminding me. The first one was an action item. I think Commissioner Eldridge, I said counselor because she was a counselor, Commissioner Seffinger, interim director. Eldridge, would you introduce this one, please?
Sure, my pleasure. Before I hit the slides, I'll just give a brief summary here. So for those that are just tuning in to this issue, the APRC has been moving an updated parks, trails, and open space map through the legislative process for inclusion into the Ashland Comprehensive Plan. So this is a strategic map that identifies properties for acquisition, either through donation, outright purchase, or easements. And it focuses on trail connectivity in a few limited situations, actual discrete park spaces, as well as trail, bike, ped connectivity. Throughout this process, we've seen community members that are strong advocates of bike and ped connectivity come forward asking both the parks commissioners as well as the planning commission to prioritize specifically the Central Bike Path, or CBP, as we sometimes call it, to prioritize it for completion on the map. And most notably, we've had members of the Ashland Climate Collaborative, as well as Streets for Everyone, come to these public meetings and stress the need for the extension of the central bike path to the west and east sides of town. Let me find my slide here. A couple things about the central bike path, and then I'll talk about the resolution. What staff, both from planning as well as Public Works, as well as APRC, explained during the Planning Commission meeting, the central bike path is identified in the Transportation System Plan, the TSP, which is the definitive urban connectivity, automobiles as well as pedestrian bike paths. That plan within the TSP is approved by Transportation and the Planning Commissions. The Central Bike Path is also in the APRC Trails Master Plan, also part of the Ashland Comprehensive Plan, and approved by Transportation and Planning Commission. So the map, the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map, does identify the Central Bike Path. It's through a GIS layer called Trails Master Plan Corridor. And it also states that the map is intended to be used in conjunction with the Trails Master Plan, which identifies critical connectivity corridors for acquisition or easements. So the CBP is identified on the proposed Parks, Trails, and Open Space map. It is not prioritized or visually sort of accentuated, emphasized in any way. And the reason for that is because extending that central bike path, that would fall entirely under the authority of Public Works to realize that under the document, under the Transportation System Plan, or TSP. In order to sort of affirm that authority, as well as ensure that commissioners recognize this desire from the public, as well as state their willingness to be a part of that solution, in spite of the fact that it's not necessarily APRC's position or role to be the lead department in that effort. A resolution was proposed and included in the packet. I do have it in slides, and I believe Chair Bachman, were you going to read it?
I am. So I will read the resolution in completely through to read it into the record, and for people who can't read it on their screens at home. A resolution, a resolution in support of expanding multimodal transportation routes in Ashland. Whereas members of the public have recently expressed to Ashland Parks and Recreation Commissioners their desire for an expanded alternative Ashland transportation system for pedestrians and non-motorized vehicles. Whereas the Trails Master Plan is part of the city's Transportation System Plan and is the definitive city document outlining the vision of trails and pathways in and around Ashland. Whereas the recently developed Riverwalk Trail between North Mountain Avenue and Oak Street is an example of APRC's affirmation of the city's multimodal transportation goals. Whereas APRC commissioners have the ability to purchase property and easements that support the goals of the city's comprehensive plan and commissioner goals, whether or not the property is on the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map. And whereas APRC commissioners are supportive of safe, practical conveyance through and around Ashland for pedestrians and alternative transportation. Be it resolved that APRC commissioners express their willingness and commitment to improving multimodal transportation in the city as a whole, and to work with the mayor, the city councilors, and city staff to facilitate this goal within and outside park boundaries, and that APRC commissioners would expect that meeting this goal would include, but not be limited to, 1, determining the most feasible, safe, and efficient route to connect the central bike path and the Bear Creek Greenway Trail. 2, implementing necessary signage and other safety improvements for the newly designed connection. 3, researching the feasibility of extending the west and east ends of the central bike path. And 4, supporting the overall development of the trail system outlined in the TMP and on the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map. Further, be it resolved that APRC commissioners will continue to collaborate on bicycle and pedestrian enhancement partnerships with the city of Ashland.
Thank you. I wanted to add one more important detail. This language, the draft language, was presented to the Planning Commission when they were considering the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map for recommendation to City Council. And based on this resolution, potential resolution language, as well as the explanations from staff, it was passed, the APRC's Parks, Trails, and Open Space map, along with all the technical support and findings, was passed as presented. However, Planning Commission recommended one whereas statement within the proposed ordinance language. So has nothing to do with this resolution. The planning department staff drafted ordinance language that goes along with the document, and they recommended adding some a whereas language requesting that be completed. So that's a bit of a side note that will be coming to City Council. They'll be deciding between the language in the ordinance that is recommended by staff versus what the Planning Commission is recommending. But I was very pleased that the map and the technical support documents were passed as is, but I do believe that this resolution was a part of that decision-making process and the anticipation that commissioners may be looking at and approving this.
Thank you. Commissioner Lunt?
Yeah, it's just a one little point. What Interim Director Eldridge said is absolutely correct. But I do want to point out that we did state to the Planning Commission that it was a draft, that it had not been approved by the commission at that point.
Right, but Interim Director Eldridge, I don't, unless you correct me on this one, I don't see that we need to agree. Our version does not need to agree with their version. This is our resolution.
Right. This draft is totally independent of any of that. It was just another factor that was presented to the Planning Commission to acknowledge that the APRC commissioners were aware of this desire from the community, and we're looking for the appropriate way to express their support while not holding back the progress of the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map.
Thank you. That's the way I understood it as well. So do I have a motion to approve this or not? Commissioner Adams?
I move to approve as presented the resolution in support of expanding multimodal transportation routes in Ashland.
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams, anything else to add?
I think much of it was said when it was last presented, but I think all of us on APRC are supportive of various forms of transportation. We like the central bike path and like the idea of it being connected to more areas of our town and to larger ped and bicycle transportation in our county.
Thank you. Commissioner Lewis?
Yeah, I think last meeting I felt that this resolution was somewhat superfluous because if anybody reads the Trails Master Plan document over and over and over again, it talks about increased connectivity throughout the city. And so we're kind of fixated on one central bike path. Wonderful. It's the right way of the railroad. That's what made it all happen. So we have a full plan of connectivity all over the city, and I would hope people would read the full document and realize how comprehensive it is and how much work went into that. So many people revision after revision have worked hard on this, and it's very extensive. And so I vote for increased connectivity throughout the whole city.
Commissioner
I
Steffinger?
would just say that I think this also really goes to wanting more diversity in our city and attracting more young people. And so I think this is important in that aspect as well.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bachman,
Yes?
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Steffinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Lott.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Item C in our business tonight is volunteer in Parks Yearly Report for 2023. And I believe that Suleiman Shelton, who is the Volunteer and Special Events Coordinator, will present that. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm very pleased to be here tonight to present this report and highlight the great work that our volunteers are doing for this organization. It's really inspiring, and I hope you feel that way too. So, I've been in this position now for 4 years, and I came in on the heels of Lori Ainsworth, who built the program over nearly a decade, taking it from, there was no volunteer coordinator before, and she built really an amazing program. And when I came in at the beginning of 2020, I had about 2 months of normal operations, and then the pandemic really shut down many of our volunteer operations. And so along with our other staff, we've been rebuilding the program back for the last couple years. And I want to highlight a couple things tonight. One, kind of the current state of our volunteer program, what those types of volunteers are doing for us. I want to highlight what the numbers look like from this past year and compare them to 2022. And then I just want to do a quick look ahead to 2024, this year that we're in now, and the hopes for the volunteer program. So volunteers provide vital assistance to APRC in so many ways. On the next slide, I'm going to kind of highlight some of those. But I just briefly want to say that although I'm the volunteer coordinator, I am not the only staff member that works intimately with volunteers. We have plenty and wonderful volunteers that work with us down at the North Mountain Park Nature Center. Jen Aguayo, our coordinator down there, plays a really vital role in working with those volunteers. Through senior services, we have a robust volunteer crew who works with our wonderful staff, Natalie Metler and Shannon Holt. So I just want to really highlight that although I am the volunteer coordinator, this is really a team effort. And I also just briefly want to say that though a volunteer coordinator is a really critical part of a strong volunteer force for an organization, it really takes an organizational effort to make sure that there is strong volunteer retention and strong volunteer appreciation. And so, it really can't stop with the volunteer coordinator. It is key that an organization recognizes the importance of volunteers and that across all staff there's a mindset that volunteers are a key part of our success. And I think APRC is really doing a fantastic job with that. So I just want to thank all the rest of our staff who work with volunteers as well. So there's a lot of words on this slide, and you probably, I don't even know if you can read them from where you are, but these are just some of the wonderful volunteer programs that we have split up across different divisions. And I've separated North Mountain Park there just because we do have a separate coordinator that works with volunteers there. And I'm not going to go through all of these today, but I just wanted to throw them all up there just to give an impression of all the wonderful services that volunteers provide to our organization. I did want to highlight one program that is a big part of what I do, and that's the Adopt a Park program. And that program has been running for a very long time and is a wonderful partnership between local businesses, faith organizations, schools, and APRC, where those organizations adopt a park around town. And these are all the different organizations that have adopted some of our parks. Nearly all of our parks have at least one adoptee. As you can see, Lithia Park has 3, just because of the size and scope of that park. And these organizations, most of them come out a few times a year to actually help maintain these parks. And so I just want to thank all of them, and also just put their names up there so you can see them. We do have signs in all our parks, and it's posted on our website as well, but they do wonderful work with us. Moving into the numbers, which of course numbers only play, or illustrate part of the picture for the amazing contributions that volunteers give to this organization, but it's also a nice illustration of kind of where the program's at. So I want to throw the numbers out there. So this is 2023. We had 893 individual volunteers come out and give in some way to APRC through one of our mini programs. And that amounted to over 12,000 hours of volunteer service provided by our community. Now, it's fun to kind of play with those numbers a little bit. So that's nearly 6 full-time staff, if you look at the hours equivalent from those volunteers. And nearly $400,000 as a monetary value that those volunteers are giving back to this organization per current state of Oregon rates, as put down by the independent sector, which is just one organization or one group of organizations that puts a number on that. But I just thought that was a pretty impressive fact I wanted to highlight. So here we have the numbers from 2022 to 2023, and in your packet, in your memo, some of those numbers are broken down, and I am going to go over a couple of the largest changes from the previous year to this year, because as you can see, there are differences in those numbers. We did have a nearly 2,000 hour increase over from this year from the last, which is progress in the right direction. And we did have a slight drop off in the total number of volunteers, and that can that number can, I'll reference it on the next slide, the reason for that, but it's one major program that I'll highlight. And again, you have the numbers from the report in your packet, and from year to year, the numbers are going to look different, basically in every single program that we run, just based on small variables or large ones. The additions of whole new programs, the subtraction of whole programs, that does happen each year. We always have kind of a focus, but generally we want to see an upward trajectory, of course, and our total hours reflect that. So here are 4 of the largest changes from 2022 to 2023 that I just thought I'd highlight. And I do highlight this in the report as well. 2 of them are at North Mountain Park. So we saw a decrease in event volunteers. That's hours and the number of volunteers. And that's because the Bear Creek Salmon Festival was canceled due to staffing at North Mountain Park. So that one event, the cancellation of that one event is going to cause a big ripple effect from our volunteer numbers there. And then the main reason for the total drop in volunteers is tied to the service learning programs that are also held at North Mountain Park, or mainly facilitated through there, where we have school groups come out and participate in park maintenance, and then also take part in an educational program. And also due to staffing at North Mountain Park, we were able to do less of those programs. Not none, we did some, which was wonderful, but we just did less, which reflects in the total number of students that are giving back to our parks. And I also just want to highlight, you can see this in the report, I didn't put the numbers up there, but even though we did have a decrease in those 2 areas in North Mountain Park, the total number of volunteer hours at North Mountain Park only dropped slightly. And that's just to reflect that although, we had less service learning, Bear Creek Salmon Festival didn't happen last year, we have an amazing volunteer program still thriving there, taking care of the gardens and the park grounds. So I want to thank those volunteers who are continuing to work. one of our biggest jumps was in our general park maintenance, or the facilities and grounds line item. And there was a big surge in that, and that's mainly due to a whole new program that we started this year, which was with the renovated Japanese garden. So not only do we have our docent program, which was an addition of about 40 volunteers who come out every single week to volunteer with us, there's also maintenance happening from volunteers in the Japanese garden. So again, I didn't put the numbers up there, I've got them here, but you can see from 2,500 to 4,000 hours from last year to this year on grounds maintenance across our parks, and that's mainly due to the increase in volunteers at that one site. Not fully, we do just also had more volunteers come out generally to help maintain our parks, but that was one of the main reasons for that uptick. And then also, you'll notice if you looked at the difference in numbers, that senior services saw a really sharp rise in office volunteer support. The number of hours that volunteers were contributing to support our front office staff was pretty resounding. So I wanted to point that out, that we brought on some additional volunteers, and then we just had some volunteers that gave just a tremendous amount of hours to support us. So that was the reason for the uptick there.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
I don't want to point out something. No, I didn't see the percentage drop in the number of people volunteering, but the hours were up 20%. Which means there are fewer people doing a lot more work.
That's exactly right.
You're a slave driver.
No. But it's true that the volunteers
Work inspirer.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Especially the volunteers at Senior Services, some of our volunteers at the Japanese Garden. A tremendous amount of hours that they're giving to this organization. So, and I know that there were some awards given out even to some of our volunteers this year to highlight some of that amazing work. So. Looking ahead to 2024, there's going to be continued emphasis on the Ashland Japanese Garden. Not only will the docent program continue to grow, we see continued interest from the public, and on their visits to the garden, positive interactions there. But we're hoping to continue to expand offerings with events there, increased tours, things like that. So there's definitely going to be more opportunities for volunteers at the Japanese Garden. The bike program, which we run in collaboration with Rogue Valley Transportation District, help us put on the Rogue Valley Bike Swap. That program continues to grow and thrive at the Grove. Mike Vergeer with RVTD is our partner there, and together we run weekly bike repair work parties, and we're hoping to increase that to have a weekday evening to open that to more volunteers. Something we always run into is when our opportunities are available to the public, so anytime we can add an evening or weekends is really key. So we're hopeful for that this coming year. And that all goes to support a bike safety education program, which we're also hoping to bring back and rebuild. So good things happening on the bike front there. And then community events were something that took the largest hit during the pandemic, and we're working hard to bring those back. And volunteers play just a massively significant role in those, from bringing back the Bear Creek Salmon Festival, to the Rogue Valley Bike Swap, to the Rogue World Music Festival. So we hope to, see those continue to recover this year. And then we also hope that some of those service learning offerings are able to be brought back through volunteer support as well. Volunteers do end up leading a lot of those. Of course, it requires staff support, but we know that the demand is there from local schools, and we're eager to have the kids back in the parks as well. And they really do help us with maintenance as well. So. That's all I have for you tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions about the report or the program.
Thank you very much. I'm a former math teacher, so I did another comparison, which is the number of volunteers we have represents the equivalent of 1/6 of our total parks head count. That is a ridiculously wonderful number, And I don't think there's anywhere in the city that's going to get anywhere close to that. And they're a key player, and you do a great job keeping them motivated and getting them where they want to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Adams.
Suleiman, thanks so much for sharing this with us. I enjoyed reading your report, and I love hearing about the work of all the volunteers in the park. The one place that I thought we might be missing in this report is I didn't see any mention of trail work days. I recognize that many of those are happening on National Forest land and not Parks land, but some of them are happening on Parks land, so I was thinking specifically about the day that the Bimsey Trail was built. I was there that day. I'd say there were 50 to 70 volunteers who spent 3 to 4 hours building that trail. Be cool to see that appear in the report. The most recent one was on the Jabberwocky Trail, so it would have been split between parks in the city. I turned downhill towards the parks land as opposed to the Forest Service land, but just another neat area, and wanted to, I guess in this setting and maybe in future reports, call out that volunteer work by members of our community on parks land as well as Forest Service land. And of course, RVMBA, DEVO, AWTA, those organizations that organize those days, huge value to our community as well.
Absolutely, and thanks for bringing that up. And we work hard to capture all the different partner organizations who do work on our land, and some of those are captured in the report, but others there's room for additional. This is definitely a conservative estimate of our volunteer impact on our parks, so certainly room for improvement there. Yeah, thank you for that. Work on adding that.
Commissioner Steffinger?
Yes, I wanted to commend the work you're doing, and also to mention that senior services are all in parks. They're really not in the city. So we're the only one that's providing service to one of the biggest increases in number in our community. Those 85 and older that drastically need those services to be able to function and live in Ashland. I've got many friends now that have been using the senior center for the technology work because they can't figure out their lives so easily anymore. And this helps people stay in their homes, which has an amazing financial benefit to the young families here. So I just want to really emphasize how very important this is for our community. And thank you. And thank you to the Senior Center.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lewis, I
get the last word. At least several words. I was on the commission when the previous director, Don Robertson, recommended we hire a volunteer coordinator. And I thought it sounded like a very progressive idea, and I voted in favor of that. And I think maybe some other previous commissioners might have voted for it too as well. And it seemed we can put a dollar figure on it, but I think the real value is bonding with the community, and the networking between citizens is really priceless, I think. And then so if you take over a decade that we've had a volunteer coordinator and the thousands and thousands of hours that people have donated to our community is just really, really special. And then I want to put a plug in for the Ashland Parks Foundation for paying for the volunteer dinner. And I don't know, whoever was at that dinner, it was so wonderful to have everybody together and talking and what people did to volunteer. And so I would hope that we would continue that dinner, because it's really sets off the whole volunteer program, where we can actually get together as a group and talk about what we all do.
if I may just say that dinner is getting more and more competitive because of the amazing volunteers who give so many hours. You know, the bottom hour requirement is going up and up and up. So it's one of my favorite nights as well. And I am so grateful to the Ashland Parks Foundation for supporting it. It wouldn't be possible without them. So thanks for saying. Appreciate that.
Thank you again. We're now at item 7D, which is a report from Deputy Director Rachel Dials about the Smart Rec online registration platform.
Wait a second. Good evening, commissioners and public. It's hard to follow someone so well-spoken like Coordinator Shelton. He's kudos to him and all those wonderful volunteers we have. So I'm going to talk tonight about our new Smart Rec registration and facility platform that that the Recreation and Senior Services Division just implemented in early January. So since 2003, we have been using a program called ActiveNet. And so that's 20 years. And so it was time for something new. And this program that we have implemented is definitely more user-friendly. Our staff, which included both staff from Recreation Division as well as Senior Services, went through a training during the months of October, November, and December, and the new system was launched on January 3rd. This program integrates facility reservations and registrations, both online, in person, over the phone, for our customers. And so far, the feedback that we've received is positive. The green square you see on the screen there is what we put in our winter spring program guide to let our customers and the public know about the new program and how to go online and register for an account. So we have done a lot of marketing related to rolling out the new system. It's hard to see here, but this is actually the training that our staff went through. We had 4 team members that went through the 10 session training, and that was myself, Lonnie Flora, our recreation manager, Natalie Metler, and Shannon Holt, both at the senior center. So that was our project team. So we worked with a trainer, and we talked about things such as customer operations, finance and reporting, facility rentals, and then during that time we were working on the back end of the program to kind of to input all of our facilities, all of our activities, to make sure that when the program got up and running, that we knew exactly what was in and outside of the program. As you see here, this is actually our website, and this is the actual City of Ashland website that shows where customers go to register. So as you can see on there, the Smart Rec program is just embedded into the city website, which makes it a lot easier to find. So if I were a customer and I wanted to register for a senior program, I would click on the box on the screen that says senior program. And then, oh, look at that. What comes up? Important information about the senior services program and registration. And then, oh, I want fitness and movement. These are all the fitness and movement classes I can take. I want to register for yoga, or no, Tai Chi. I want to register for Tai Chi. So I'm going to click on that little blue box, and then that comes up. And basically what lists is every single session of Tai Chi that's available for me to register for. The green box on the screen is a drop-in session, and down below you'll see another box that is gray, and that box itself means that the class, I think it says on there, the class is full. So so you click on the green box, and then if you are not a customer of the program, if you're not a customer yet, you'll be prompted to either set up an account, or if you already have an account, you can register it yourself. Again, the feedback we've gotten is positive. I think, obviously there's always members of our community that struggle with technology, and we've been here to help in person and over the phone with that group. So this slide here is our facility reservation module, and this is actually the back end. So this is what our staff sees. And so what you see on the screen here is the colors represent the different programs that either customers are registering for and that are booked in our facilities. So the blue color represents our senior programs and things that are booked at our facilities, such as the Grove. The orange represents external reservations, so people that are booking like the Fire Pit in Lithia Park, or maybe they're booking their external customer using the Grove. So it's booked on there as well. And then the little purple box on the far right is actually one of our field reservations. So that just kind of shows you what our staff sees. It's a really quick, easy way to go and see what's happening for that week. And then this slide is also another picture of the back end that kind of shows you what our staff's looking at as far as activities. And it's a really quick snapshot of some of our programs, how many people are registered for those programs, and then it's an easy way for our staff to go in and edit a program if you need to edit a program or change something about something that's happening. So what we're hearing from our staff so far, what some of the new things that are happening right now for facility rentals, our staff can easily create a contract. So we have a template contract on the back end. Our staff can create that contract, email the contract to the customer can e-sign it and email it back, which is something that we couldn't do before. And people are loving it. It's quick for our front office staff to fill in the blanks on the contract, send it. And then they can also go online themselves and make their own payment once they set up their account. And we had a woman who came in last week and had her phone at the desk, and our staff said, "Hey, can you just try to make that payment right here with me?" And she did it very easily on her phone with her own credit card, with her own program, without us having to do it. And we got really good feedback on that. So that's a positive. And then the process of creating a new client account and registering a customer for a class is very user-friendly. That's the feedback we're getting. The activities can be tailored to collect customer information. So our instructors that are teaching classes for us, we actually are creating accounts for our instructors. This is so they can go in and pull their own rosters. They can also check to see if there's special forms or allergies that a person might have. It minimizes our staff time to have to go do that for them. And then our entering activities is a breeze. We've all, our project team, we all entered activities. We've trained our front office staff to enter activities. It's very easy and very user-friendly. And we're still learning the full capabilities of the system. I still feel like I'm, walking through mud sometimes, trying to work through some things. But we're looking forward to exploring more on multi-passes, memberships, stackable discounts, and there is an app for your smartphone. And we're really excited that the New City website is, we're launching the New City website towards the end of May. And we feel like this Smart Rec program is going to integrate very nicely with the new website. It's going to make everything very clean, crisp, and easy and functional. So that's what I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Anybody else? I have some, but I should go last. Okay, first of all, this is a quantum leap forward and should really improve your ability to do more with less, which is what we're always being asked to do. I'm curious if it can be expanded into event management at say, Lithia Park and that sort of thing. If you can kind of make it a control system for all the stuff you do.
So we're, like I said, we're still trying to figure out what the full capabilities of the program are. That's something that we haven't dove into yet, but we can definitely look at that. One of the other things that we want to look at Smart Rec for as well is that our volunteer management program is really outdated, and we're always, a little worried that maybe it's going to stop working at some point. So maybe seeing if Smart Rec can help us with our volunteer management. So I think that there's some other things that we'll be able to use it for as we move forward.
Great, thank you. Is that it? Anybody else? Thank you very much. That ends our business section. And the next item on the agenda is items from commissioners. And what's that?
Waterline project.
Oh,
7.
excuse me. We have one more item. Kevin's wondering why he came tonight. Thank you. I'm not rushing. I'm enjoying myself. I just missed it. Okay, so up next, the last business item. Our Park Superintendent, Kevin Caldwell, is going to talk to us, update us on resource protections for the Ivy Morton Waterline project.
As soon as I figure out the technology piece. All right, I think we got it. Evening, commissioners, happy to be here. This is more information sharing for you guys and gals. The Public Works Department for the city of Ashland has developed and bid a project. On that map there shows kind of the extents of their project. It's a new water line traversing our newly acquired Liberty Street property. This project, the Public Works project, has been in the planning phases for many years. It was awarded yesterday at the council meeting to a contractor, and so I would expect work to begin on that project sometime this spring, if all goes well, and be complete, according to Public Works, by the end of June this year. And so my goal is to partner with Public Works on this project and to be there, maybe not myself, but staff to be on site during construction to help minimize impacts to resources. So just sharing information, letting, if you guys have any questions or concerns. Again, we're just trying to partner with Public Works.
Can you give us an overview of the kinds of oversight you need to do on a project like this?
Again, it's more resource, and honestly, the responsibility is on Public Works. It's their project. But we'll be on site, and there's some required consultation with our arborists regarding working around trees, tree protection. So that's kind of a piece of our protection. On the Public Works side, they'll have, erosion and sediment control plans. They'll have access restrictions and stuff like that. So I don't want to get too deep into what they're doing. We want to support them and protect resources.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand what our responsibility is. And so it's be protecting trees, the environment?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else have questions?
Well, that was a good clarifying question.
Okay. Commissioner Adams?
I guess more a comment than a question. I appreciated this report. love that there's a great example of cooperation with the rest of city government, and it highlights that acquisition of additional land for parks can provide multiple benefits to the community. I appreciated your report and the highlighting of the 9 items that we're paying special attention to for maintenance of this beautiful space, even as we have a public works project coming through it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Oh, Commissioner Lott.
Yes. I asked this question by email but hadn't heard back, so I'll ask it again. Will the equipment and work be within, all the work be within the right-of-way, the easement of right-of-way?
As far as I'm aware, yes. There's 2 easements across this property. One's from 1956 and the other one's from 2015. And as far as I'm aware, the intent is to construct the whole project within the easements.
So follow up. Does that mean that there will be a barrier between the easement and the rest of the park land?
I don't know for sure. I mean, I could request that.
I would strongly urge you to request that. And the reason goes back to other projects. It goes back to Ashland Pond and Ashland Creek Park. Both were public works projects on parks land. And in both cases, it appeared that more property was accessed and with soil compaction and scraping and other work than what was required to accomplish the work. And if all they need is the easement, then it seems like there would be no problem to just put up construction fencing. And I want to point out that I'm not talking about chain link fence. I'm talking about that orange construction plastic fencing that's used all over the place.
No, I think that's a valid point, and I could certainly have that discussion with Public Works.
Thank you. I think if it's really difficult to keep contractors just without guidelines, without clear delineated guidelines, contractors will just matter of human nature will tend to expand their area of work. At least that's my observation.
Law's law. Area of work expands to the border of whatever you've set. Okay, thank you very much. That was, there's a lot of information here, and I didn't expect you to go through every word. I just wanted to give everybody that doesn't read that detail, that's watching, some sense of what your role is in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're done with business, and I appreciate the coaching. The next item is number 8, which is items from commissioners and staff, and I've asked our staff to put a standing item here, which is a liaison report that wasn't there before, so that whenever there's a meeting that has a commissioner liaison present between our business meetings, we have a little report back. That's all. It's just to trigger that. And I think that'll increase our communication with, first of all, for the commissioners to know what's going on committees they're not at, but also for the public to understand that we have a lot of people working out there, volunteers, a lot of them, on these committees and advisory groups that help us, and this will help kind of highlight that. So, as luck would have it, the first one was mine, and it was the ASAC, which is the Ashland Senior Advisory Commission meeting that we had on January 8th. And I have some notes here, if I can find them. And then after that, any other comments, just as we normally do from commissioners and staff before we wrap up the meeting. Okay, so on the 8th, we it's a great group. Mike Gardner shows up everywhere. He chairs it and has for 3-4 years now, right? Yeah. It's an active group. We have very good programs put together by our superintendents over there and our interim superintendent now. And this was the first one, and she's here today. I'm pointing at her. She was running and, of course, did a wonderful job. So the presentation that afternoon, was Community Volunteer Network by Casey Rose. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I could speak for an hour, but I won't, I promise. It coordinates all over the Rogue Valley, or at least in our part of the Rogue Valley, a number of things. And I won't go into that either, but one of the things you might recognize as a need would be Call a Ride, where volunteers, drivers take people around to appointments and what have you, and will sometimes wait for the person, or if it's a longer appointment, they'll go take care of their own errands and come back and pick them up. So if you want to volunteer to do that, that's available. They need bilingual Spanish people in their program. So if anybody out there listening could help with that, to translate and produce literature and work with people, but also produce literature in Spanish would increase their ability to help folks. It was pointed out that OLLI, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, is an excellent source of volunteers. But they're not the only ones, but they are certainly active in our community. They're housed in Medford at 1 West Main Street, and if you are anybody listening, again, this is meant for everybody, not just people in the room, and you want to get involved with this, you have a few hours to volunteer to help your community, you can get in touch with the folks at their senior services center, a senior center, and they'll put you in touch, because I don't have the contact. I mean, we're not all going to drive to 1 West Main Street, but they'll help you if you want to volunteer. Standing reports, I have a standing report there, which is kind of what triggered this. So what I do at this meeting is I tell them what we're doing that affects senior services and other larger issues. So my main item last time was that we're going to build a pool over there as soon as we get it organized and financed. And at some point, there's going to be a lot of disruption for a year or more around the senior center. So I just wanted to get them thinking about that. There'll be parking problems. There'll be all kinds of stuff, noise, until that project's done. And the pool will be down during that period. That's assuming we go with the recommendation to put it in Hunter Park. And I think we're there, but I won't, that's just my opinion. It's gonna take the pool out of service, and they're gonna be dealing with all that construction noise. Bob Kaplan presented. He's a liaison from the council. He's a council liaison, and talked about things that they have handled that relate to us, like closing hours and alcohol usage in parks, both passed. Camping ordinance passed in December, which may or may not affect us. Then he talked about the new water treatment plant, and it was those of you who geolocate yourself in town by trails, it's going to go in near the Wonder Trail, and that's going to be a long project. He also was hopeful that there would be some work to reduce the cost of water in particular, but utilities in general, to folks with lower means, and that again will affect a lot of our seniors, who are our most vulnerable seniors. They're going to be able to have a better way to help people pay their utility bills. That's coming. I'm not going to talk about the rest of this. I just want to say that it's a dynamic group, and I will bring you the salient points from these meetings. There's one other item, because I may get involved in this. There's a livability group in Ashland called the Livable Ashland Alliance, which is a coalition of a number of organizations, and one of the organizers of that, Ann Belegia, sits on the steering committee, and she has asked me to join it as a liaison from this advisory group, not from the commission, and I will probably do that. So I'll be able to report on what's going on there as well. livability is a good lens for how we make decisions about Ashland. And I would love to be part of that. Rick Bailey's coming on, the president of SOU. So that's all I have. Anything else from the commissioners? Commissioner Seffinger.
To add on to senior services, I have another hat, and it is I'm currently the president of the Ashland Food Bank, and I really want seniors to know that it's there for them. We have a pantry at the Ashland Senior Center, and one of the main needs that we see increasing is in the senior population with inflation and the fact that there's a lot of food insecurity for that group. So please be aware that this is for you. It's for Ashland citizens and Talent citizens, who are the ones that are providing the money and the food for this organization. We're a nonprofit. We're low barrier. We don't ask a lot of questions. So please feel free and know that it's there for everyone that needs it in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Long.
Yes, Chair Bachman, did you have a employment-related statement, preliminary statement you were going to make?
I do. It's coming.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. What he's referring to is how we're going to approach a job search for the director position. I'm going to talk about that when we get to the look ahead, because it's about timing. It won't be much stuff that would end up on the look ahead, but that's where I have it slotted in. On this agenda, and I'm not going to move it today, but I think the look ahead might come earlier than the meetings, but I'm going to go ahead and follow this agenda tonight. So the next item is the upcoming meeting dates, which are, I have an updated list here, although I'm kind of covering it. What did I do with it? Thank you. There will be an APRC study session on March 6th. It's electronic, and it will be at 6 o'clock. And there will be ways for folks to get into that if they want to zoom on in. The commission, or rather the advisory committee I was just talking about, the Ashland Senior Advisory Committee, will be meeting in person at the Senior Center. We're going to do that every other meeting. And that's March 11th, 3:30 at the Senior Center. APRC regular business meeting will be March 13th in person here. And then the Recreation Division Advisory Committee, we were going to meet very soon, like tomorrow, but that was canceled. And so this is the next Recreation Division Advisory Committee meeting, and it's on March 21st in person at the Lithia Cabin at 4 p.m. And I think I got all that right. Okay. Now, what Commissioner Lott was referring to is we have an interim director, but we are going to be pursuing a pretty darn robust job search and process to move to hiring, we'll call it a regular hire director. And that's not in cement yet, or in stone even, so it's not written down here. But I just want everybody to know that we're moving on that I have out to the commissioners our most recent approved our most recent approved job description for the position. And I have some feedback on that, and when I have it all, we'll incorporate that into an updated job description. Then the next step is to ask to schedule ourselves with the Human Resources Department to get the position posted. We will probably, we have asked, and we will have some sort of an evaluation of our interim director during this period, and we should be pretty much done with this within 60 days. So stay tuned for the more details, but that's the direction that we're taking, and we will move past the interim phase of having a director to the basic regular hire director. So, did I cover that adequately, Commissioner? Thank you.
Just a clarification, when you say 60 days, you mean 60 days from listing the position, not 60 days from now?
No, it'd be quicker than that. I'm saying 60 days from now.
Okay.
And that's very important because former commissioner and now interim director Eldridge is on a leave from SOU, and we need to resolve her future and get going. Get past the interim stage. So there is some sense of urgency. And there will be, we'll be receiving applications from posting through HR. We will, screen those applications. We will then interview the best applicants, and then we'll make a decision. It's a regular hiring process, and it's as outlined by our Human Resources Department. Okay, now the look ahead. And I'm going to just, why don't you present the key elements, and then I just have a few questions, and I don't know if other folks do or not.
Thank you, Chair Bachman. So staff will work with commissioners, and you can let us know when we can add those relevant items to the agenda. One kind of significant change that we've made in the look ahead that I wanted to call commissioners' attention to is the orange section down at the bottom. It used to be a category called parking lot, and discussing this with staff, we decided that we wanted to give you a better understanding of the priorities and the top working, sort of the to-do list that is kind of at the top of staff's mind at any moment, and also just for you to really understand and see the breadth and the scope of items that we are currently pursuing. So this isn't even close to an exhaustive list, but it's to give you an idea. There may be some projects here that you might not have even been aware of, or there may be some that you're curious about. There may be some that you think should be prioritized more or would like to hear about. So I expanded that category to give you a better idea of some of the items that we're working on. The parking lot didn't seem to be serving either commissioners or staff very well, so we'll try this out, and hopefully it'll give you some fodder for thought in terms of future agenda items for study sessions and for regular meetings. So for March, we do have the Public Arts Advisory Committee coming to present two different proposals regarding art in and around Lithia Park. And we are, fingers crossed, very hopeful that we're getting close to Oak Knoll Golf Course contract review for commissioners to look at. That is still in process, so I'm going to put that as cautiously optimistic. Commissioners have heard reports regarding vandalism and the loss of our 3 pickup trucks, and Park Superintendent Caldwell and I have been working very diligently with Public Works and City Manager and trying to do anything we can to put together a plan moving forward to have adequate vehicles and for our staff. So we'll report back on that. Commissioner Adams had brought this up, and we've had a very short discussion about recreational immunity and the threat to recreational immunity that has come about in the state of Oregon. And so I've been working with legal to draft a proposed ordinance that will better protect the city of Ashland from liability from injuries or anything that may occur on parks land. So I'm hoping to be able to present that language in March. Finally, if Finance Director Barry presents the Q2 budget report to City Council the day before, then we will be presenting ours at the March 13th meeting. The other big item that we see coming up, probably more likely in April, is having Forestry Officer Chris Chambers come and give an update on the timing, scope and impacts of the fuels management project in Siskiyou Mountain Park, that he's still working very hard to try to make everything come together for potential operations over April and May. It's looking like. I'm happy to answer any more other questions. We're going to add the Butler Prosy Fountain to the orange area, and yeah, please do let me know if there's anything that we're missing or you'd like to see added there.
Well, you answered my question, which was what is recreational immunity? Commissioner Adams?
I just had a couple of items. So we talked about trying to get Daniel Meyer Pool on the calendar for discussion at the last meeting. I don't see it on there yet, so I'd still love to see that. And the other one that catches my eye, not coincidentally, also at the top of our list of priorities, it might be great to get some comment or a date to get a update on East Main Park, which I see at number 1 on that list. Yeah, that's it.
I can give you a very quick update on Daniel Meyer Pool, Robertson Sherwood, the consultants. We met with them. We had Park Superintendent Caldwell and myself. We had a good discussion, and we are waiting for them to get back to us with the research and assessment for that cover. So we're a little bit at their mercy at the moment, on standby, but absolutely I think they said that it would take about a month to 6 weeks to complete the assessment that we discussed, but we have yet to even get to the beginning of that. So I'm hoping we said March, now we're thinking more April probably to put that on. East Main Park, we are very, very close to submitting the application for annexation into the city of Ashland. And then very similarly to the Parks, Trails, and Open Space map, you will see me shepherding it through the various hoops until it finally gets to city council. So optimistic that process will start in maybe a month.
Thank you.
The easement approval process.
The annexation. Of the land for East Main Park into the city of Ashland. It's currently county land, and so we are doing lot line adjustments through Jackson County, and then we have to do an annexation application, which is a legislative process similar to Parks, Trails, and Open Space map. So
it's 30 days to start. How long will that take? And rough.
My best guess is 2 months to go through.
Well, that's pretty quick.
It has to go through Parks Commissioners and then Planning Commission and then City Council. So maybe two and a half, I think, if we line it up right.
Thank you. Any other questions on this one? Well, that brings us to the end of the meeting. So without objection, I will adjourn it.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you all for being here.